The stickman wakes up to the fireworks. On TV, the news announces, "New American tariff approved. Victory for the national economy." He gets out of bed with pride in his eyes and a little U.S. flag in his hand. Today, he feels part of something big, something patriotic. Outside, cars honk, shirts emblazoned with "Made in USA" are everywhere. The stickman goes to work in the factory with his chest puffed out. Inside, his colleagues are also excited. Everyone believes that now, with the China will pay the price, and America will win. But as the anthem plays in the stickman's head, they're in the meeting room. The manager takes a deep breath in front of a red spreadsheet. More expensive parts, raw material locked, suppliers jumping out, costs are rising, production is down, and profit ... evaporated. The next day, the stickman arrives with the same flag in his hand, ready to work. But he finds the gate closed. A simple warning: production suspended. Reevaluation of operations. He looks at the paper, then he looks at the flag, and he begins to understand. Maybe such a victory is not for everyone. Perhaps he's celebrated ahead of time. Unemployed, but still patriotic, the stickman holds the flag tight as he walks to the job center. He believes it's just a phase. If we take competitors out, the companies here will boom, right, he thinks. But in the waiting room, he meets other stickmen from the same factory and from other factories, and even the carrier that delivered the parts, all with the same face as those who were included in the economic victory by the wrong side. He tries to find something new, but it finds that many companies are freezing hiring. The reason? Costs uncertainty. Another company responds, "We are waiting to stabilize the prices of the parts." And another says, "With import taxes, our product has become too expensive." The market retreated. The stickman goes to the supermarket to save money, but the meat doubled in price. The refrigerator he wanted now costs more than a month's rent. Even laundry detergent has become a luxury item. The tariffs that were supposed to protect the economy have become invisible grids holding the consumer's pocket. The promise was simple: less foreign competition equals more space for the American product. But they forgot to warn that the American product depends on 1,000 other things that have not been manufactured here for decades. Without them, there is no product. Without a product, there are no jobs. No job. It does not have economic freedom. The stickman turns on the TV to distract his head. And what do you see? A parade of politicians beating their chests and saying that the American people have won. Showcase of figures, graphics in green, patriotic speeches packed with the soundtrack of a pickup truck commercial. But in the meantime, the stickman tries to buy a blender. Before, it cost $49. Now, $89. The seller explains, it's just that the carcass comes from outside, and with the new tariff ... The stickman doesn't even hear the rest. Just think, why do I have to pay for this trade war that I wasn't even called? In the bakery, the same old bread now comes smaller and costs more. At the gas station, the gallon of gasoline went up. In mechanics, imported parts have become taboo, and the mechanic says, if you want without a fee, just wait 3 months for the national one. At every corner, a contradiction: tariff to protect. Okay, but protect who? It is not the consumer, it is not the factory employee, nor the grocer who cannot replenish stock without readjusting the price. In the middle of it all, the stickman sees a commercial on TV with the phrase, "Buy American, save America." He smiles, but it's a crooked smile, because deep down, he already understood. The show of the absurd is paid for with the salary of those who believed in the plot. The stickman still tries to remain optimistic. He thinks, if now they are only going to buy what is made here, then someone will have to manufacture it. And I can be that someone. So he decides to become an entrepreneur. He buys a notebook, writes down ideas, dreams of a genuinely American product. Simple, cheap, and competitive. A 100% national blender. But then he finds out, the engine, made in Mexico. The buttons, they come from Korea, the plastic. Even the Made in USA label comes from abroad, printed by a Canadian supplier. The stickman stops, sighs, scribble everything hard. How am I going to manufacture something here if everything I need already comes from there? He tries to adapt. But the cost explodes. The national supplier wants 3 times as much because it also depends on external parts. The final product becomes an expensive and overdue Frankenstein, and no one wants to buy. Meanwhile, large companies are starting to lay off en masse, no pieces, no competitiveness, no margin. The tariff it promised to protect has become a wall against the market itself. The stickman looks at the unfinished prototype on the table, and he realizes that the dream of the 100% American product died before it even came out of the package. Back in real life, the stickman begins to realize that his existence has become a loop of invisible charges. He looks at the bills, they have all gone up, rent adjusted. Indexed health plan. Energy with the tariff compensation rate. He sits down, opens his laptop, and decides, I'm going to cancel what I don't use. But it can't. Streaming increased, but removed the cancel button. Cell phone plan now requires calling a number that no one answers. And the card bill, full of exchange rate adjustments that he doesn't even understand, he signs, pays, and continues to subscribe. And all under the same speech, it is for the good of the national economy, the TV announces. Even with the tariffs, the GDP grew 0.3%. The stickman yells, but I'm poorer, but no one listens, because it's not on the charts. It's between the lines he tries to live with less meat, less fuel, less leisure, even patriotism has decreased, but this is not in the official index. He realizes, finally, that he has become just another subscriber to the tariff hell, condemned to pay for a trade war that he never asked for and from which he cannot get out. Because deep down, each fare is one more bill that he doesn't even know he's paying. The stickman no longer celebrates. The U.S. flag, once held high with pride, is now deflated, hanging on the shelf, half forgotten. He walks the streets and sees the empty windows. Small businesses with a sign of closed until further notice. The city's factory has become a dusty shed. The bus is fuller and more expensive. In line at the supermarket, he counts coins to take rice and eggs. A generic package of cereal becomes a luxury item. On the side, a lady murmurs, in the past, this here fed the whole family. Now it's barely enough for the week. He accesses the government website, trying to understand if anything has improved. There it is, positive results of tariffs. National industry strengthens, but the national industry where he worked, left, and the one that remained has no price to compete. It opens the investment app, everything in the red, shares of companies that depend on foreign inputs melted. And the latest news? New round of tariffs, approved. The stickman closes his cell phone, sits in the middle of the room, looks around. Nothing exploded, nothing. Collapsed. But everything fell apart. The promises have fallen, purchasing power has fallen, hope has fallen, and, in silence, he understands. The so-called economic victory was just a speech, and the fall, it was real. Now, the stickman is standing at the intersection between two paths. On one side, the crowd still applauds the fares. Flags blowing in the wind, fiery speeches, patriotic slogans at high volume. On the other, the bitter silence of those who understood the real price of victory. He holds the American flag for a moment, then fold it carefully and put it away. Not because of shame of the country, but because he realized that love for the homeland is not clapping for bad decisions. It is having the courage to question. He looks forward. He goes into a library, picks up a book on real economics, research, understand, share. The truth is not in the government's graph or in the campaign's speech. It's in the shopping cart, on the bank statement, in the resignation announcement. The final choice is not about being against or for the country. It's about stopping accepting that poorly thought out fares are a trophy. It is to understand that protecting the economy goes far beyond building walls. It is building bridges that make sense for the consumer, for the worker, for the small businessman. The stickman takes a deep breath, turns his back on the theater, and moves on. And he leaves the question in the air. How many more fares will you applaud until you realize that you are paying for the ticket with your own income?